My name is Caitlin, and I'm here to open your eyes to a new way of defining handedness. A way that once it's fully understood will hopefully forever change the way you view handedness, as it has done with me. People have always defined themselves and others as either being left-handed or right-handed. And when asked how that is more specifically defined, most would simply answer whether one writes with their left hand or writes with the right hand. It's the hand that we feel more comfortable with when having to complete any daily normal activity. But is that really the most accurate way to define handedness? What about those people who write with one hand but are dominant in sports with the other? Historically, research has focused on the effects of direction of hand preference on behavior in normal daily activities. However, more recent research suggests that the important dimension in which individuals differ is in degree of hand preference. This then places the emphasis on whether someone is consistent versus inconsistently handed, and no longer compares handedness as being left or right. According to Chrisman, consistent handedness is defined as using the dominant hand for virtually all common manual activities, whereas inconsistent handedness is defined as using the non-dominant hand for at least one common manual activity. So think to yourself about your daily activities that incorporate handedness. What hand do you use to brush your teeth? Is it the same hand you use when you're taking notes? What about sports, brushing your hair? So now we get to this point where we say, so what? Why does defining handedness even matter? Well, funny you should ask. If we were to maintain this idea of degree of handedness, research would then be able to progress towards better explaining how the brain is organized and how that then affects certain behaviors. So in simpler terms, handedness can indicate certain tendencies people might have, or even certain behavioral patterns. For instance, is it easy for you to remember small details of the time in which your first relationship ended? Yeesh. Was it raining and looked like a typical movie scene? Or is that memory very basic, very 1, 2, 3, and simple? In actuality, Chrisman has found that when it comes to memories like your first breakup, people associated with inconsistent handedness outperform those who lean more towards consistent handedness. These memories are also termed episodic, meaning they deal with personal experiences. The reason that this might be true has to do with communication between the two hemispheres of the brain. Of course, right? Relationships between two parties of any kind thrive and depend on communication. The more communication that is present, the more likely you are going to find a strong relationship. That is the same with episodic memory, according to Chrisman. Episodic memory often depends heavily on the interhemispheric lateralization of information and how it is accessed. All right, let's press pause with those big words. Basically, memory relies on your brain's ability to access information from both the left side and the right side. This is important because other types of memory don't really require this. So people who identify with being inconsistently handed tend to outperform people who associate with being consistently handed. Mainly because, well, to be inconsistent, your brain has to be able to communicate well between the two hemispheres. So this doesn't go to say that the memory of inconsistently handed people is generally better. All this indicates is that when presented with certain word retrieval tasks and other activities that engage the episodic memory, those that are inconsistent have so far performed better than those who aren't. So now really think to yourself again how many daily activities you complete with whichever hand you identify best with. Is it every activity? Or did something just pop into your mind that made you gasp and realize that you may not be just right-handed? Okay, I know it most likely wasn't that dramatic, but I at least hope that those of you that are now thinking to yourself that maybe you are inconsistently handed, that you know that you're not alone, and your body is not in a general state of confusion, and nor is it indecisive and can't choose one hand. And for those of you that are thinking you are definitely consistently handed because you're just not that person that can use both hands for any activity at all, know that you are also not alone. And you're also not less skilled than other people who do identify as being more inconsistently handed. All in all, take from this video that maybe we should start looking at handedness in terms of degree and not just direction. Nowadays, we have redefined anything that has ever been seen as one way or the other. So to answer the question, so what? I say, why not? Why not redefine this and further research so that one day we can find answers and solutions for diseases and disabilities that deal directly with memory? Although we only brushed the surface of this topic of handedness, I hope this video opened your eyes, the way this information did mine, to a new world of research that, well, you probably didn't even know existed.